Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wytpod. My name is Harshit, and I'm the Director of Business Alliances at White Labs. We are a digital agency specializing in SaaS and e-commerce SEO. And I've got Jack Ford with me today. He's the head of marketing at Hive HR. Now, Hive is an employee feedback platform, and they offer survey tools with people science insight to drive organizational performance. A big welcome to you, Jack. I'm so happy to have you with me today.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Harshit. Yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation. It'd be interesting being sorting up on your previous episodes. So yeah, hopefully I can keep up the good guests that you've had so far.
Right, buddy. Now, before we dive into all the awesome things you do at Hive, can you please let the viewers know a little bit about you and your professional journey so far?
Yeah, no problem. So it was quite funny. I always think about my start in marketing coming when I was really young, because I used to love the adverts on telly. So I'd be watching programs and it'd cut to an ad break and I'd be engrossed in the ads that I'd be showing. I can still remember some of my favorite ones now. And yeah, I used to really be engaged with those. And while everyone was nipping off to go get a drink or something, or something else, I'd be staring, watching the adverts. So that was my first introduction into marketing, perhaps. But then when I went to school and university, focused on business, and I really got a taste for the science behind it, the theory, making sure that you understand who's buying, the targeting, and that kind of drove me towards the business side of it rather than advertising. Yeah, an early start, you could say, but refined through school and university. Been in marketing for over 20 years now. Well, yeah, I know it makes me question quite where those years have gone. But yeah, so 14 of those have been in SaaS and software. And the first 5 of those 14 were for a FTSE 100 company. So the 100 biggest companies traded in the UK stock market. And that was great. That was really great learning and training on the digital channels, email, content production. And so I got really great ground in there. But I think what I found was that because it was such a big company, the roles ended up being quite narrow. So it was great to learn, but when you got up to speed and wanted to advance and push boundaries, it did feel like I wanted to do more than my role and the structure would let me do.
Yeah.
So since then, I've moved into kind of scale up size businesses, working in SaaS, worked in e-commerce, live video streaming, and now in HR tech. A different array of target audiences and marketplaces, but yeah, I've managed global teams, produced live video content, shows. Yeah, it's been amazing. I had some great experiences. I worked with some great people, and yeah, I really think I found my strength and what I enjoy doing is working in the scale up size business where you have a small team to manage, so your output can be more, but I'm still doing the work. I'm still involved on a day-to-day basis in the marketing, still on the tools, if you like, as well as setting the strategy. It's a good mix of both for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure, because in this phase actually gives you the real kick, to be honest. It's much more exciting compared to a mature business, for sure. That's an interesting place to be. All right, now let's talk about Hive. I would love to understand what marketing strategies have you found most effective in the B2B space, especially in the niche Hive Vision.
Yeah, no problem. I think to introduce it and to caveat it, I'd say the current vision I've got for my team is to produce commercially efficient, fridge-worthy marketing. And that's like trying to blend the science and the art of marketing into one. So I want to make sure that any marketing that we're doing is driving the key goals for the business, which is annual recurring revenue. If we're doing marketing that's not attributed to that, then we're wasting our time, really. And then the fridge-worthy piece, that is harking back to when you were at school, and if you did well on your spelling test or you drew a lovely picture and it came back and your parents would stick it on the fridge. So it's been producing work that you're proud of, whether that's because of how it looks, because of the results it's achieved, but making sure that pride is going into our market. And so really the campaigns and the strategies that we do really hang off that vision. And it really dictates the channels, the strategies that we use is making sure in there. I think at the minute in Hive, and to be honest, in the past 3 roles that I've had, focusing in on sectors has really been key success. So that's kind of really narrowing down where we're succeeding, where we're winning and retaining our customers, and really doubling down or leaning into those sectors. So that's producing case studies, producing content specifically for that sector, maybe looking at channels and media, that sector specifically, is looking at. So that could be, I think about healthcare being a kind of a key sector for us. It's where those people specifically looking. It'll be a journal or a publication specific to that sector. So it's really narrowing down that sector in all our approaches really helps as a key strategy. And then content production, we have 3 areas that we want to produce content for. It doesn't have to be, but we try to aim for unique data. So we've got employee engagement benchmarks come out of our platform from hundreds of thousands of employees across the UK, anonymous data, but we can provide benchmarks for companies and HR leaders to level themselves against. Nice. Whether it's expert insight from our people science team, these people are very qualified. They work with our customers every day. They are definitely the ones that got that expert insight to pass on. So we want to make sure we can amplify that, get that out into the marketplace. Or if it's use cases, so how do people actually take our product and use it and make a difference in their business? So if we can cover those 3 areas, then that's what our content kind of needs to be around. We find great resonance within that, whether that's sector specific, whether that's use case specific and to a pain point. But yeah, that kind of those 3 pillars of content is what we're aiming for. Nice. And I'd say paid search, that performs really well for us. Sometimes feel like it's a bit of a dirty word to say when it comes to B2B market. I know B2C that's where it works really well, but in B2B, yeah, we've got a great model. We've got a digital market manager here at Hive who has worked really well on that paid ad side of things, and we generate a lot of interest at different levels of the funnel, the awareness and the different levels of buying intent. So yeah, that is another kind of key strategy for us.
Okay. And how many touch points does it need through the paid campaign? Let's talk specifically about that for a prospect to convert into a customer on your platform.
Yeah. How long is a piece of string is the quite trite answer there, but it really does vary. Just today, we saw someone come in via a Google ad, fill out a demo request form. They then spoke to our sales discovery team, and they've got a demo booked in for Friday, so in 2 days' time. So that kind of process might be massively shortened. We see ones that kind of take months to come through. They might come through, and from our paid landing page, it might be a challenge that they're aware of. They might need to know that they need to improve well-being in their workplace, but they don't know that it's going to be survey driven. That type of kind of paid ads lead will take months to convert, and we bid accordingly and put the right resources behind that. So yeah, it's really quite varied between which campaign are they showing real buying intent, because that is, as expected, a lot less touch points before they come into our enterprise sales funnel. And if they're coming in on a challenge, then yeah, it could be. We've seen people be in the nurture channel for up to 2 years. They've consumed loads of content. They're signed up to our newsletter, but timing's not right. Either they've not secured the budget, they're maybe within a contract with someone else. They're just not ready to engage in that sales process. But I love those people. The people that signed up to our newsletter and read everything that we send. Yeah, they're my type of people for sure.
That makes sense. And in fact, gives your prospect a good brand recall as well. So makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Right. Now, because, your platform focuses on amplifying the employee voice, how do you incorporate this USP overall on your brand development strategies?
Yeah, it's a real careful consideration. So we're targeting HR leaders. A typical job title might be Chief People Officer or HR Director. And we're supporting them to achieve like organizational goals, not necessarily HR departmental goals. It's looking at the business as a much wider thing. And that's usually driven around change. So that could be a change that's happened. So they bought another company and they've got a brand new, like hundreds of new headcount coming in and different cultures coming into the business and trying to assimilate those. Or it could be that actually they've had to go through a restructure and maybe they've lost some people or they've lost resources. There's a change that happened and they want to get there. They need to drive the business forward and they need measuring how employees are feeling, what employees' inputs can be. So that can be change that's happened, or where we do really well, where we can really provide the value is the change that's planned. So people know that they want organizations know that they need to change, way of working, the headcount, the department structure. And by including kind of employee voice in that process, they can uncover loads of information that wouldn't be seen on spreadsheets or on report. It's really diving into the themes of the feedback. Yeah, making sure that we support HR leaders with that change and how they can measure the impact of that change, what next steps they can do. That's really where we want to try and drive that within our brand positioning.
Okay.
It can sometimes get conflated with employee engagement, which is great, but it's something slightly different. It's making sure that feedback goes into those goals, the change the business is trying to make, not solely for a HR team to make sure people are responding to surveys. It's really about that insight and the change that comes from those surveys and that employee feedback. Yeah, it's really supporting those advanced HR leaders that really want to drive the business forward, have their level at the C-suite, around that directors, sit next to the CFO and the sales directors and operation managers, heads of operation, and make sure that they're driving the business. It's crucial, and it's something that we're trying to really help drive with those HR leaders.
Okay, I'm going to be a little biased here and ask you some SEO specific questions. That's a background. Okay, any specific SEO strategy that you would like to highlight that has done good wonders for your new lead generation, increasing your visibility, traffic on your site?
I think if I talk about our overall kind of SEO strategy and dive into some specifics, we try to split our time in two, really, from targeting keywords, producing new content, where we can try and fill some gaps. I'm sure every marketing team out there has this content plan. They understand where the content gaps are for keywords, and they're trying to fill those up. So we're looking at those and prioritizing those, but we know what our resources are. We're not that's a vast haul of writers that are going to be able to produce hundreds of blogs every day, week, month. That's just not our resources. So we do a good job of prioritizing what we're going for, whether that's difficulty, competition, whether that's keywords that we actively hear within the buying cycle as well. They jump up their priority. But we also spend a really good amount of time revisiting the content that's already on the site. The content machine at Hive has been going for a number of years now, and we've got some really well-established pieces, which an hour, 2 hours of updating, they'll perform really well. So making sure that we spend enough time to go back into the archives and pick up what's been performing well before and updating it, they're really key points. Some stuff that's worked well for us in the past, quite recently, has been unique research. So we did research into employee retention rates and the production of kind of the analysis of that data. That worked really well. So we were able to employee retention everywhere, and particularly in the UK is where we focus, has been a huge challenge. And was it the Great Resignation has been a key term. It's been in popular lexicon for the past couple of years. But yeah, from a business point of view, we kind of tapped into putting some unique, like doing the research, analyzing it, producing it in a number of different formats, and within there we got key insights which people have linked to. So we've got some good backlinks from there, but we've also then been able to tick off some actually the key pain points that our customers are feeling, being brought up, and we can answer questions. We can show them why people are thinking of leaving, what people have done when they've left. So there's some great research in there, and I think the way that we took that to market helped produce some real keyword targeting by pain point, and then also the links that it generated were something that we hadn't done before in terms of that research piece.
That's brilliant. And you mentioned a very good point about content refresh. Most of the SEO professionals miss out on that opportunity, and it's a big opportunity. I would love to understand the mechanism that you follow, like which content piece you should pick, and it's time for the refresh altogether. Do you follow any process for it, or is it just looking into basically some analytics, maybe like the content piece is fading out? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, it's not particularly stringently structured. We take a bit of an agile approach to it, but things that we'll look for is our blogs, are the posts that are appearing in our kind of top 20 organic traffic, and then look at the age of those. So are they more than 9 months old? If so, then if they're performing that well for that amount of time, we've got new data, we've got new kind of, what am I looking for? UX experiences on our blog pages that we can improve. We've got new data we can add in there, which I've mentioned. Yeah, we look at ones that are performing well despite not being our newest way of producing content. So we look at that. And again, I mentioned the keywords that kind of appear in our buying cycle and our buying journeys. That's really key as well. Like one of our top performing posts, both from direct and organic traffic, is the link between employee voice and organizational performance. So we know that one, that we include that in our sales cycle. That's a real key piece of information because, as we talked about, that's what the USP is. But it's great to see that they're both organic traffic and direct. We know people were serving it, but it's also a keyword that people are searching for. So stuff like that can really help validate what we need to go back and update.
Gotcha. All right. Now, with your background in data analysis, how does your organization leverage data-driven insights to shape the marketing decisions and strategies? What are the main KPIs that you look into?
Yes, we're at Hive. Everyone is driven. The number one KPI is annual recurring revenue. And that's really refreshing. I've been in marketing teams where we've been quite removed from that because it was either hard to prove what marketing did, or it felt like it was too hard to like claim any credit for that. But yeah, Hive, everyone's key KPIs, and that really provides the guardrails of what we can look to do. Of course, we get smaller KPIs, sales qualified leads. That's the marketing KPI that we work towards. So a lot of the data that I look at is how are the channels performing? Are they being cost efficient to produce SQLs? Does the time taken to get to an SQL stage, is it longer for one channel? Is it too long for some channels? Is it too expensive? So there's that channel awareness there when it comes to that data drivenness. I've already talked about sector focus in terms of that's one of the key strategies. That's driven from the data that we have. We know what sectors we're best at winning. We know which sectors we retain really well or upgrade, we can upsell into. Yeah, without that type of data, we'd be doing best guess at the sectors. So that really can drive a lot of information as well. How quickly do those sectors convert? If we're in a position where we need to get some deals through the door before a certain time frame, there's no point looking at public sector or healthcare really, because they're longer term deals, but we can look at other sectors for us which are more of a quicker turnaround time. So professional services, they're often quite a quick turnaround time because they're ready and ready to go. There's less layers of red tape. That type of data driven stuff can help us pitch some short term marketing tactics, but really the data that we have really decides where we're going to play. It also helps us build in, if we know that we can achieve our targets this year, for example, we know that we're very confident that we're going to achieve our targets, and we've built my manager might not like me to call this, but a bit of a fun zone where we know that we've got something new to try. It's innovation is probably the more professional term for it, is where we can look to use new channels or do something different without it impacting on how we're going to achieve our goals. So yeah, we're in a good position there, I think, with knowing how we're going to perform and being able to drop certain campaigns or push go on a certain channel if we need extra. So it's data's everywhere within this market team. That's what I love about it. Yeah, probably an anomaly amongst a lot of marketers, but I love a spreadsheet. It really helps drive our campaigns and I think success so far.
No, makes sense. And what marketing technology or platforms that you basically leverage for your multiple channel targeting altogether? And in fact, reporting as well.
Yeah, so HubSpot is the number one tech that we use, whether that's in marketing, sales, customer success. It really drives our insight into our customer base and our audience. There's a load of automations in there that trigger off behavior, off whether certain features are enabled in the product. So yeah, HubSpot I like to say it's our source of truth. I'm sure there's always some more updates that people can do in HubSpot. That's the thing about CRMs. But yeah, so that's a real key part of our tech stack. And alongside that, Zapier. So it's making sure all the other bits of information and technology that we use connect into HubSpot and maintains the source of truth. That's really important. There's a good example actually of how we use a system called Hunch, which is a kind of a database, if you like, very well kept database. Actually, I'd really recommend it for people out there. And they have a great connection. And one of their strengths is finding new appointments and promotions in the sectors that you're looking for. And using Zapier and HubSpot with Hunch, we can trigger off an automation that provides people in their first 90 days with a great piece of content specifically aimed at that challenge or at that point where we know that they're new into the role, and we've got how to succeed I can't remember the exact title, but how to succeed as a HR leader in the first 90 days, or what you can get from an employee voice in the first 90 days. That's been really successful. So that has generated sales conversations, leads, SQLs, customers. So stitching those three together has been really great. Google Ads, I mentioned paid ads before. It'd be amiss not to mention that. It works well for us. Search Console, Ahrefs as well for organic and SEO research. They're some of our key ones. And there's always the odd tool. We started using Opus Pro, which is Hive video software, as we look to increase our video output. That's, again, being aware of our resources within our team. I'd love to have a video marketing professional within our team, not on the radar for now, but Opus Pro can really help us take existing longer form content and break it down and produce it much more content for us to use across a number of different channels. We've seen good success with that already, helping more people within Hive be more active on social media, LinkedIn, for example, by breaking down clips to share more easily, as opposed to a 20, 30, 40-minute webinar, which realistically people aren't going to sit through on LinkedIn. So that's been a good new addition this year.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Now, looking ahead, what trends do you foresee in the HR technology industry, and how do you plan to adapt Hive's marketing strategies to stay at the forefront?
Yeah, so I guess following on from what I just mentioned about that new AI tool that we're using within marketing, I think AI has yet to fully blossom in the HR tech space. There's been additions into current products and services, but it doesn't feel like there's anything that's really opened the market's eyes to AI and really changed the game yet. So I think it won't be long. It certainly won't be long until it just becomes normal that there are AI helpers or generative question banks within the employee voice space. Like, that will be normal, but I think it won't be long until a provider produces a feature that is a real game changer, that really shifts the balance to them, the balance power to that provider. I think we want to be there. We're aiming to be there. And I think the part of the market in that strategy that will impact will be that real deep understanding of the sectors. So we found within our database and with our customers at the minute that the chain, like what they use the software for, may be similar on the surface, but actually some of the key challenges do vary by sector. So if we really continue to get that deep understanding of sectors, that will continue to help with product development and how we can benefit from AI. I think the marketing place there will be, how do we get that engagement with customers or target customers to really help generate and influence what the product will look like, and what new AI innovation we can gather from those pain points. We were talking about it internally recently. Henry Ford's famous quote about cars: if you ask people what they want, they'd say a faster horse. They couldn't possibly imagine a car. That's what it's like for AI, and I suppose a lot of circumstances now is, if we to ask people now, they'd probably be quite small iterative steps that they think of with AI. I'm not sure anyone can quite yet grasp what it could do in the HR tech space. So definitely think that's something that we need to get that understanding. And the second thing I'd say would be, it's probably not new into HR tech, but people analytics as a term has been really popular in the past 12 to 18 months. But I think, as with any kind of, product or trend adoption, we've got the early movers and the innovators on to people analytics, but there's the early and the late majority that I think are going to follow the people analytics, get really up to speed with what people analytics, HR analytics will mean this year. Now, I think people understand it as, it's data, it's a number that I can put on something. It's much more than that. It's using that data, connect it with insight, and make the actions needed from that. And that's exactly what Hive are a perfect place to do that. The platform can give the data, but we've got our people science team who absolutely, that's what they do every day, is they take the data, they turn it into insight. We hear all the time from HR leaders, I'm drowning in data, I've got so many spreadsheets. I've done a survey and it's going to take me 6 months to go through the data. That's no good for anyone. If I'm an employee and I filled a survey in 6 months ago and I'm only getting to hear about the changes 6-9 months later, that's no good. It needs to be quicker than that. So we find that all the time. I think that, as the early and late majority move into getting to understand the real crux of people analytics, so that's connecting data and insight with action, then that's going to be a big trend, I think, this year, is people coming up to speed with that. And that's why I talked about that content before. I talked about unique data, insight from people experts, and use cases. That is connecting the data with insight and action. It's not a coincidence. Kind of, this is what we think is going to work, and we see a lot of people moving to that now.
No, I agree with you. Hey, Jack, we're coming to an end, and I would love to have a quick rapid fire with you. Are you ready for that?
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Okay. What one word do you want people to associate you with?
Curious.
Oh, interesting. Are you a private person or not?
Not really. No,
Really?
I don't think so. No, I like talking. You're going to have to do some editing on this podcast. I could be talking for hours.
None. Any funny nickname your parents, your friends, or your work colleague used to call you?
The only slight one that I've had before is people have said that I look like, and I'm going to regret saying this, but people have said that I've looked like Finch from the American Pie movies. Yeah, don't always love that.
Now
one,
you have
but-
said, now because you've mentioned it, yeah, that's actually correct.
Yeah. So that's the one I've had before, even in being on holiday before, and people have mentioned that to me, which is always interesting.
Yeah, and then the whole series of America was awesome, man. All right. What's your last Google search?
Last Google search. Do you know what? I checked before this, I checked Google Trends on it, people analytics, to see how that was trending. So yeah, quite boring, I'm afraid, but that's what it was.
No, that's actually interesting to me, at least. All right. What's something you could eat for a week straight?
Chocolate every day, all day.
Okay. And you don't gain fat.
I've yet to test that, but I think I probably would.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Jack. Thank you for sharing so much useful insights about your experiences. I really appreciate your time here with me today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate the invite. I've enjoyed it.